Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about transit North Node, square, opposition, or inconjunct one's natal Chiron. When we're talking about transits that involve the North Node, it can be about one's future, mission, purpose, destiny, what you're learning and aspiring to be, where you're directed toward, and also issues that you may have to confront and address. Now, when transit North Node is basically making an adverse aspect to one's natal Chiron, we're going to elaborate on that. When I say basically adverse aspect, okay, squares and oppositions, of course, those are adverse and negative aspects in astrology. Now, in inconjunct, though it's a neutral aspect, keep in mind that neutral aspects can have good and bad qualities in them. And coupled with the fact that an inconjunct can often require an adjustment or transition, and those things, of course, can cause some exasperation and tension. And so collectively, basically, I see this as an adverse transit. Now, anyway, when transit North Node basically makes an adverse aspect to one's natal Chiron, it may manifest in one's future, the destiny, what you're learning and aspiring to be, where you're directed toward, issues you may need to confront and address. Those things might conflict with physical and emotional ones. You might be dealing with some debility or debilitating illness or some kind of just general physical suffering that might make it more difficult for you to pursue your future at this time. And if the natal Chiron, say, is in Sagittarius, and might be some physical issues with the liver or sciatic nerve or thighs. It could be the hips. Capricorn can be something with the natal Chiron is in Capricorn. It could be something with the knees, the bones, the joints, the gallbladder, hamstrings. It might be something too where, and if there's also, if you're dealing with some emotional ones, especially, I would say something like, if the natal Chiron is in Scorpio and or the 8th house, it might be sort of psychological nature. The 12th house is the house of mental illness, so there might really be stronger, intensified emotional suffering. If there is, if the natal Chiron is in the 12th house, say if your natal Chiron is in Gemini in the 12th house, it could be from some, bipolar, manic depressive, mental illness that you might be enduring that might be causing more difficulty in you trying to pursue your future at this time, where you feel, it's preordained, what you feel at this particular time of the transit, where you may be destined to. Now, also, too, Chiron is just general suffering. If the natal Chiron is in the 4th house or in this or the zodiac sign Cancer, it might be through some domestic or home-related issue, maybe causing some difficulty in you trying to go after your future at this time, your mission, your purpose, what you may be learning and aspiring to be. And the North Node is also connected with the qualities and attributes that you may be trying to develop at this point in time. And of course, if you're going through any suffering, anguish, or turmoil, naturally that's going to make it more difficult to attain those things, to be able to develop those qualities, because obviously it's going to be harder to concentrate on those things at this point in time of the transit. Now the Chiron is also connected with very, if you want to call it, profound pain, but it's the deepest pain, the deepest wound that you may endure with, and this could be something that could be with you for a good point in time. My natal Chiron is in Aries in the 12th house, and a lot of, I think, my suffering inside, in fact, it's in the 12th house. I don't really come out with it that much, of course. I keep it suppressed and hidden a lot, but a lot of my suffering that I go through inside, any turmoil I deal with, a lot of that is connected, because I have Chiron and Aries in the 12th house natally. It's a lack of initiative and enterprise, that might be tied into secret sorrows, into self-undoing, not being able to, not capitalizing on opportunities, and of course the self-undoing, the 12th house of secret sorrows. And in my case, if I have this transit, and transit North Node is basically making an adverse aspect to my own natal Chiron, well, It could manifest in me having a harder time pursuing the future because I'm enduring that turmoil at this point, at that point in time. More so, maybe what it is, it might not be dealing with it more at that time, might not be more emphasized, but for whatever reason, that the fact that I'm trying to cope with that is conflicting with what I'm trying to do in that as far as the North Node goes. Now, another thing too. Now, Chiron is also associated with where our might be ineptitude. It's about our weakness, whether it's perceived or it's something that's actually true and veracious. A lot of times it can be where we might be weak or inept in. And the thing about this is, if you're trying, the weakness that you may have, mine again being Chiron and Aries, could be a lack of aggressiveness and assertiveness. I also have Aries on the cusp of the 12th house, so that doesn't help matters. That kind of reinforces and reaffirms having that weakness in terms of assertiveness, aggression, and just a general lack of initiative. Those things, like in my case, could conflict with going after the future at this time. And the thing is, too, Chiron is also connected with our with depleted self-esteem and self-worth and how we feel about ourselves. And the thing about it is, maybe there are some issues at this time, this transit for some, where they might be dealing with lack of self-worth. Maybe it's affecting them in terms of pursuing their destiny, what they feel may be preordained, what that mission and purpose, what you're aspiring to be. Maybe you feel you don't, maybe there's some lack of confidence and self-assuredness that is causing a conflict in doing so. Another thing too is that Chiron, as many of you may know, is the wounded healer. I mean, it's about our suffering, but it's also about what ways that we can help others in which we're unable to help ourselves. So, on the positive end, Chiron is connected with how we can help others and be very good at that as well. But at the same time, we might be helping others at this time, which is prohibiting ourselves from going after what we need to do for ourselves, for our future at this time, which we're aspiring to be. And that, of course, can cause certain tension and exasperation. If you have the natal Chiron in Pisces, it might be helping somebody, people with addiction, or being a rescuer in general, taking somebody out of the abyss, so to speak. And you might be, trying to do something for yourself, though, as far as the North Node goes, and of course it can cause some tension and exasperation at this time. Now, anyway, another way this transit may manifest, it could be the qualities that you need to develop may conflict with physical and or emotional wounds you may be dealing with at this time. Now, let's say if the transit North Node is in Sagittarius in the second house, as an example. It could be dealing with something with religion, or the outdoors, which is Sagittarius, and that could be what you may be valuing, what you want to value at this time. And it could be, something that could be tied into self-esteem and self-worth, because that's what the second house is connected with. You might be trying to develop, and emphasize that energy at this time. But, you might be dealing with the Chiron, the suffering you may be enduring, may be conflicting with it. You might be, as far as qualities and attributes connected with Sagittarius, of course, that could be just being generally expansive, jocular, philosophical, those kind of things, athletic, more inclined. Those are things that you might be trying to develop, but you might be dealing with some issues connected with Chiron, some suffering that might be conflicting with it at this time. Also, to another way this transit may be expressed, it could be that issues that you may need to confront and address that might challenge what you're trying to do as far as helping and healing others. Remember, Chiron is the wounded healer. Let's say, for example, if the transit North Node is in Scorpio or even Leo in the 5th house, it could be you might be having to cope with some kind of bullying that might be, that might involve, which Scorpio and Leo, I would say those signs can both be connected with bullying and it might be a child, which is the 5th house, which is getting bullied at this time if you do have any children. Hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that, I'm back, but anyway. Now, another way this transit may be expressed, it could be where the future lies, which is the North Node may challenge the deepest pain or wound that you're trying to cope and deal with at this time. And that, of course, is your Chiron placement. Now, let's say, for example, if the transit North Node is in Aries in the 12th house, it could be somebody that gave you, maybe this person, I'm sorry, if the North Node, and we go be kind, rewind, if the North Node, transit North Node is in Aries in the 12th house, your future, where it may lie, may be getting the courage and fortitude, which is Aries, to confront hidden adversaries, which is the 12th house, people that might be posing as friends, but are really, for example, maybe using you and are really secretly enemies. If, let's say, for example, if the now let's say if the North Node, let's say the transit North Node is in the 1st or the 6th house, it might be a health-related issue you may have to confront and address, might even maybe a challenging or exacerbating some kind of existing debility at this time. And say if something with it could be something with the esophagus might be causing some other issues, say if the transit North Node is in Taurus as an example. So those are, and that might be causing some exacerbating some other issues, with you. The thing is, anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.